Yeah. Yeah. Good afternoon, all. So today we are going to have a discussion about what are the technology landscape for 2047 within the disaster and the climate resilience. We have a very eminent panelist who have been working on various themes, and we are really happy to kind of have this panel which will give us an idea about what are the critical technologies which are currently in use and how we are seeing the future of technology for various themes and hazard. Let me start with a quick introduction. Myself, Mihir Joshi. I work as a chief convener with SEEDS, and we have been working in the sector of disaster and climate resilience from past 25 years. So if we can have a quick round of.
I'm Dr. Amir, representing National Institute of Disaster Management.
Okay, I'm Abha Tiwari, and I represent the United Nations Development Program, India.
My name is N.M. Prusti. I represent the humanitarian community.
I am Colonel Sanjay Srivastava. I represent Climate Resilient Observing System Promotion Council.
Good afternoon all. My name is Lakshman and I represent SEEDS.
Good afternoon everyone. I am Ravi Chandra and I work as Livelihood and Value Specialist in UNDP.
Great, thanks. So we, in total, we have 45 minutes and I have three clear ask from the panelists. So I have three questions and I would kind of like you to answer those. Like, as we know that technology today is playing a critical role in our society, and COVID has exacerbated that phase, and we are using technologies in various ways. But at the same time, we don't really know that within the disaster resilience and the climate resilience, what are the critical technologies which are being currently used. So my first question to the panelists is if you can just give us the background that what are the critical technologies which are currently being used within the disaster resilience and the climate resilience space. Yeah.
And I have to focus on specific hazard? No. Okay. So as far tech, and how much is the time?
So in total, you will have 2 minutes to complete.
Okay. As of now, you can see the use of drones, space-based technologies, and a lot of computer-based technologies which are definitely evolving, which has evolved up to a certain extent, and they are definitely going to evolve much faster. Like drones, they are having much wider application as of now. So is the space-based technologies. So these are the two things which immediately come to my mind, which we are currently using not only for agriculture sector or flood risk mitigation. They have wide applications, say for earthquake as well. And this is in brief for the time being.
Okay, so I come from the climate space, so I'll briefly cover what technologies are currently used in climate modeling. And climate modeling is important because it is sort of, in terms of resilience, if we talk, it gives us a glimpse into the future in terms of simulations, in terms of projections. So currently what is used is, we have the GCMs in place, the global climate models, but then we have an issue of resolution there. So if you're looking for resilience point of view, you're looking for a granularity, say at a district level, at micro scale level you want, but the GCM is not able to cater to that. So currently what is being done is the dynamic downscaling of GCM to RCM levels, and we have initiatives here, IIT Delhi, IIT Chennai, they're leading initiatives where you do dynamic downscaling, and then you come down to a higher resolution of say about 10 kilometers, 9 kilometer resolution models. Those outputs you get, and those inputs in terms of local planning become more important because they are the ones, those inputs are you can integrate into your local planning. Like they say, operationally those outputs can be used in planning. So those are ones. Then we have remote sensing techniques in place. We have for water mapping of water resources. And if you look into extreme weather events, because most of the extreme weather events that you see in terms of heavy precipitation or a very intense precipitation, which is sort of the entire precipitation taking place in a very short period of time, they take place from convective buildup. So the thunderstorms, they operate in range of kilometers. So mesoscale modeling and using those modeling and then parameter the outputs of those, and you integrate them into your RCM, so you have much more accurate inputs. Basically, the systems which operate at a scale which is less than the resolution of your model. So there, AI is being used. So this is how, in climate, you'll cover later. AI basically in climate modeling is the upcoming thing now. And then marrying all those data. So you have the LIDARs in place, you have laser sensors in place where you do the mapping of convective cells, and you marry all the data that is available and sort of then integrate those smaller parameters into the model. So this is what currently is in place in climate modeling.
Let me cover some aspects of technology in the humanitarian setting. We have been using technology, mostly the digital applications, and GIS is being extensively used now, but the future is much beyond that. Do I have to also cover the future? So those are the kind of things, but the technology application is not yet having that close interface with the social dimensions, humanitarian dimensions. So I've been talking of techno-humanitarian approach, techno-humanitarian strategy, techno-humanitarian platforms, creating an enabling environment where technology and humanitarian dimensions, social dimension, development dimensions will be able to marry each other, so that each other's impact on the other will enhance the efficiency and effectiveness. In the next round, probably I'll cover a few more ideas on that.
Coming to your question about the early warning, basically the early warning system comprises of three components. We have so many hazards. So first component is the observing systems. So hazard-wise, there are sensors, we have satellites, we have radars, automatic weather stations, we have strong motion accelerometers. So there is an array of observation systems which senses the hazard. So observation system becomes the first part of your early warning. Second is the processing system. So you have high computing devices where all the sensors inputs are taken. There is a mosaic created. And based on the hazard, the early warning trigger or API is generated. And third and most important part is the communication. And the communication, how to communicate it to people, how to prepare the society, how to take preventive action. So all these three things, that is the observation systems, the processing system, and the dissemination, that is the communication system, that comprises a holistic early warning system.
Great. So with respect to with respect to technology, so technology has been infused into all the phases of disaster risk management, the entire disaster management cycle. So what we were just discussing about earthquake technologies, about climate modeling, GCMs, about humanitarian interventions, about hazard mapping, all of which culminates into information that, and then we make sense of that information to convert it into data. So and then facilitate a decision support system. So where is the hazard? Situational awareness. What is the intensity of hazard? Who are the people who are getting affected? How can we help them? Where are our resources? So all these sort of information can also be now very well digitized and available at the fingertips, not only for somebody sitting at the center or a state capital, but also at the district or the tehsil. So that is where technology is a major factor for emergency response and also across the entire disaster management cycle. So that is where I stand.
Thank you. So my working experience is mostly in the domain of agriculture and livelihoods, not much of technology. And right now the focus is climate sustainable agriculture, climate resilient agriculture, and there is a focus on increasing awareness among the farmers to follow climate resilient technologies to adopt their crop patterns, etc. kind of thing. And in this case, mostly there has been a challenge where the policymakers or those who make decisions actually don't have enough information or any pattern, such kind of decision support system, as fellow panelists were talking about, that where to invest, when to invest, why to invest, and which of the areas are performing better Because in India only in various states there are some regions despite the same agroclimatic condition, same socio-economic condition are performing better in climate resilience and some are not performing. Why this is so? So like UNDP has created a digital public good. It is called as like world first digital public good, like data in climate agriculture, climate resilient agriculture, the ICRA platform, supported by Rockefeller and government of Telangana, which basically provides computation, like the data is used from the satellites and the other remote sensing, like it's global, like NASA, European Space Agency, etc. It provides us insights like which area is faring better, like crop fires or cropping pattern or leaf index or soil moisture or soil carbon, this kind of information. And this has been like piloted at a state level, population level, where such information is available for the policy makers to use the insights that is generated by the platform to direct their decision making on the like where to invest the money for the climate resilient or why some areas are performing better, take that learning and then apply it to the similar regions across the states. So I will stop here, then the next question.
Yeah. No, thanks. So I think overall what I'm hearing is there are GIS-based technologies, there are AI-based technologies which are coming up, drones are being used, space-based technology. I think the second question is related to that, is how we can make a sense out of all this technology. Basically, the technology is means to create the impact for either one set of stakeholder or a larger set of stakeholder. So if you could share specific example that how currently those technologies are being utilized by the end users and what are your learnings from that. So if you can just
Yeah. That is the thing for which we are discussing. And as far I have been asked to talk about earthquake and use of these technologies and applications in earthquake risk mitigation. So as far earthquake risk mitigation is concerned, Sanjay is here. So he has talked about early warning. So we have made a big headway towards earthquake early warning as well. Though the window is very small, but we have. And few of the countries at international level have used that technology for effective community early warning systems. And in our country, it has already percolated down. Second thing is, and a lot of app-based technology has been utilized. So you can download those applications on your mobile phone, and which can be used very effectively. So this is one thing, and it is going to further refine in coming time. So community-based early warning system has not percolated down in our country. It will definitely coming down. Second is use of these GIS and all those things in microzonation of urban areas. So it is going to definitely revolutionize how we see the risk, at least from earthquake point of view. As of now, few cities have done, but there are certain limitations as well. Microzonation maps have been developed, like for Delhi, but those are not properly utilized. So in coming future, we are definitely going to be utilizing those available technological tools for us. Then, as Madam has already mentioned, I am looking forward, and maybe that may go for the next one, earthquake prediction. Use of AI for earthquake prediction is definitely going to be there in coming future. He mentioned, Lakshman mentioned about decision support system, which is already there in our country for last 20-30 years. After Latur earthquake, we developed that, but it has not percolated down. So I will love to see this percolation of this decision support system for the benefit of the communities. And another thing is, and limitations are definitely there. So one limitation is we are not able to maintain it. So we have to develop those skills so that the available tools should be utilized and those should be maintained for the benefit of the people. This is in brief.
Coming particularly to climate modeling, see, there's so many resources that are going into it. There's a huge global observation system, and we have high-performing computers dedicated to it, mostly government-resourced high computing system. But the thing is, like you said, how useful it can be for the community. So in terms of resilience, if you think if a computer model in, say, about 50 years, 70 years can give me an input that we're talking about building a seawall. So how high a seawall should I build so that it is able to sort of cater to sea level rise in the next 70 years or 100 years? But that output is not available because there are two issues with climate model. First thing is that it is very complex. Because initially, if you go back to 80s and 90s last century when the climate modeling thing actually took off, then that time we only thought of coupling processes like atmosphere, ocean and land. Now, as we have progressed, what we did was we have started coupling more processes in. So aerosols have gone into it, land use has gone into it. Now social economic parameters have gone into it. We're talking about GHG emissions going into it. We are thinking of, based on the GHG projections, looking at Paris Agreement, 1.5 degrees, 2 degrees. So the thing is, more coupling you do with the model, the more complex that model becomes. Now, the more complex that model becomes, then you need to have that much, but the granularity of the data that is fed into the model also has to match up. So that is one issue. It is a very complex model. Second thing is we have been aiming for higher and higher resolution, because when we started in the 80s and 90s, our resolution of GCM was 300 kilometers. Today we are talking of resolutions under 10 kilometers. So the higher a resolution goes, your computing power basically say suppose you're going from 100 kilometer to 50 kilometer, you have to increase the computing power by 10 times. So you're looking at very high performance computing. So what the current thing that is with the technology that the way we can leverage technology to meet these two challenges are, what we do is from GCM we go to RCM. Within the RCM we try to build a very refined grid, so that first thing is your number of computing processes is now reduced from a global scale to a regional scale. Second thing is that within that regional scale, within that RCM, say suppose our resolution is 5 kilometer, and now I'm looking for parameters, but there's a term called parameterization. Say suppose my resolution is 25 kilometer and I'm integrating a process jiska scale in itself is 10 kilometers. So what do I do is I simplify it and I parameterize it. So AI is being used extensively now, and there are two models which are being used currently now. One is your global storm revolution model. So what they do is thunderstorms, because extreme precipitation is going from convective clouds. Convective cloud ka maximum extent you have is 5 kilometer, 10 kilometers. So you are using those GSRMs. So the AI will design your GSRM, and that accurate input will then be fed into your RCM. So that way your accuracy increases. Second thing that has been done is neural networks. They are called generative adversarial models. Network, GAN. So what it does is that you create a digital twin. So you have one model in which you have all the real-time observations, and you have another simulation in which you have taken data, historical data, and try to come in parallel to from your historical data you project, you run a simulation and come on to your real-time. So now what you do is you connect those neural networks. These are called neural networks. So basically you have big data, then you have machine learning, and from that you use the AI. And these two networks, they feed into each other, and the AI tries to fine-tune to the extent so that your differentiation between your real-time observation and your simulation is the minimum. So these are two interventions which are basically not scaled up right now, but these are two areas which are sort of the technology feeding into the modeling.
Yeah, interesting, Abha. I'll tell something that how our weather forecasting systems have transformed over the last 2-3 decades. To share some personal experience, when this Odisha super cyclone struck, our weather forecast, weather warning system was that it's going to moderate to heavy rainfall, and all fishermen are advised not to go to the sea. That was the kind of, and sitting in Delhi, I got a signal from I was to work for CARE those days. I got a signal from my headquarters in USA that there is going to be a severe storm heading towards east coast, and most probably it is going to hit Odisha and the coastal belt, even the districts, which districts will be affected, and that US could know, and they allotted CARE, and CARE allotted India office, and I could see from the US Navy sides the movement of the storm, and as a result I could design quickly a response program, and that started when the storm was just formulating and landfall was awaiting. So the landfall happened on Friday evening, and Saturday morning our intervention started and all that, we could position a train load of food in about 72 hours in the affected area. But when you look at today's condition in India, our weather forecasting system has improved so significantly. And this has happened through collaborative efforts of about 24 of Indian research development organization in weather systems, and they are collaborating with the world's best weather forecasting organization in USA, and gradually it moved to also to other countries and all that. So that generational shift has taken place in the weather forecasting system. Today we are proud of our IMD, very truly very proud of our IMD today. But to become more accurate, to make it make the information effective for the last mile, then all this system has to have huge database, and this data density, dense data is necessary, and dense data will come from the decentralized sourcing of data. Today we have, those days you used to have only 2 or 3 weather monitoring systems in state. Today we have got large number, and those days the automatic weather stations conceiving an automatic weather station was impossible. And it used to be, they say that IMD used to say that we have put weather stations but they are not maintained. It is not malfunctioning and all those kind. But today we have got automated weather systems, and I am able to see that there will be automated weather systems in every village one day. And it's not very far away from today. And I am able to envision the mobile automatic weather stations. Also, the moment we get a warning, then the mobile weather stations will move, and you will create a larger volume of data, and will create a dense database. And dense database will lead to a better forecast, better analysis. And I'm envisioning that probably this analysis will go decentralized. Today we have got every state has got an IMD station. 20 years back it was not there. So I'm envisioning that local data sourcing, local data collection, local data processing, and local forecast, that is going to happen in years to come, and very soon. And to make this happen, our equipment miniaturization taking place, more advanced equipments are becoming available at moderate cost, and they're very robust and needing very less maintenance, and management is becoming very automated. And so I'm seeing that this will gather momentum, and to do all those things, the technology like you have talked about artificial intelligence, machine learning, in fact IoTs, blockchain, these are the kind of things that is going to improve the integrity of the technology subsystem. And when these technology will come, and they will bring 2 things, the tangible and intangible. Tangible things like, to say that there is an infrastructure, which is a tangible thing. There is a product, is a tangible thing. But intangible things are the process. But how this whole delivery process is taking place, how the information delivery is taking place, how the decision support system is taking place. So once these IoTs and blockchain technologies is utilized and scaled, you will see that your decision support system will become much stronger and much robust, because you'll be able to track it, trace it, and again even the changes that you can undertake all the changes or modifications that you need, and it will be a kind of a real-time basis. It will happen. So I'm envisioning that probably there will be a system when the cyclone comes, even if you are sleeping, you will be able to wake up, and you will be guided that you have to go this way, you go that way, and do this, access this service from there. Then all these things will happen. Even in earthquake, probably there will be a time, I'm seeing that within the next 20-25 years, that people will be knowing that earthquake is coming or it has happened, and that low uh, time gap that it has, and that the person, the individual will also get the direction or instruction to make himself or herself safe. But we are saying that human life saved. But now the technology will tell us that besides human infrastructure, it is also the environment, that those trees, those animals, those the other the organisms, how they will also be saved from the hazards. So that probably will technology will also guide us. But the one important thing that's going to happen is that how this system integration is going to take place. How the technology system, the social system, the business system, the governance system, how all this system integration is going to take place, that's going to be. And my feeling is that technology is going to become a great integrator. It will integrate all the subsystem. Today, technology is mostly used for benefiting the business. But how that learning from business will come to the governance and social subsystems. If that happens, then the society will be hugely benefited. So therefore it is necessary that all these subsystems get aligned and integrated. My last point is that my last point is that when we do all these things, the technology source, the technology developers, mostly the for-profit entities, and these technology developers also develop a sensitivity towards governance issues, sensitivity towards social issues, sensitivity towards humanitarian issues. So then they will start thinking that how the benefits, and these benefits are intangible, but if you have to analyze, you will see that the impact of these benefits are extremely huge. So therefore there is a close collaboration between the technology organization, business organization, government, social organization is absolutely important. The last but not the least is that the technology development that takes place, how you place it in the hands of people. So therefore it has to be simplified, demystified, and it should be the open sourced. It should not be always meant for commercial gain and all that. So the more and more the technology is placed at the open source, then people will be able to benefit. Taking Amir's example, the drone, I also work in the drone space. If the digital elevation modeling of the affected objects, if that the algorithms or the analytics, those are developed to analyze those maps or those pictures, those videos, if those things are placed in the open source, then there will be many people who will be able to use it. Today it is not open sourced. It is only with few people, few researchers, few scientists, few commercial guys and all that. They are making money. That's all right. Making money is not bad. But besides making money, how you empower people, that's the dream, or that's the vision. And I am able to see that in next 25 years, this open sourced technology will be possible. I am also in one organization, the Digital Green. It works for the farmers in the agriculture subsector. So there, all the technology are put in the open source. So I am envisioning that the disaster management also, the technology will also be open source.
Thank you so much. Very enlightening speakers so far we had. Coming on to the early warning for disasters. You see, the very purpose of early warning, first we should know. The purpose of early warning is to save life and to save damages. So it's important that it should be a purpose-driven technology for the common people. As far as the observation systems are concerned, we are deep into the field, we are working, and as you know, India Met Department has now got 37 radars. Ours was the day when we had only 10, 12 radars, and the challenge was forecasting for the country. Like sir said about the super cyclone 99, I was airlifted from Kargil to Ganjam, and it was 26th October, and hardly we had early warning system or communication system. So those days, as a force operations Sahayata commander, what we faced in super cyclone was, a nightmare. Today we have every bit of information available. Thanks to the scientists, our scientific advancements, India has taken good stride, and space technology, satellites, radar, automatic weather stations. But still, we are a vast country, and we have a varied, diverse population with diverse resilience capacity, the capacity to respond. So it is important that our technology should be integrated in a manner that we detect each and every hazard, our modeling, our computing, our forecasting system. There are multiple systems which have come, and there are multiple stakeholders. And each stakeholder has its own territorial integrity. Me and Abha were discussing. We need to have a mosaic where all inputs are processed, synthesized, and the best possible lead time is generated. Sectoral application has to be analyzed. So resort to the crop which needs less and less. Laughed when in 2007-8 I started developing. People said, "Are you mad? Is it ever possible to forecast?" Everything boils down to the last man who is sitting, say a farmer, a cattle grazer, or a fisherman, or a common man who is outside in the open, or a child playing in the open ground, or in school, or a woman, working in the kitchen. The threat when it comes up to them, how it has to be reached. We have done advancements in our are working on enterprise artificial neural and all. Will sense your brain that what you are going to do. Will sense what is going to come up. So those things are part of the research into the futuristic research we are. Aim is what Dr. Simplification and how to reach them. You will be surprised. We were just having running lightning, and both merge and you suffer damage. So there is a technical, early warning element into it. So you have to leverage early warning with small, small catchy pictures, small, small catchy words, and take the early warning to. And how to reach them. So these are the aspects which I find important in early warning, and we need to work for that. It's a massive task. It's a evolving process, this early warning. Dissemination will also be evolving till the time, like in US, we have ANI and ALI system. Every man has a identification number, identification location. So there you can reach. Our Aadhaar card is also come up with that. If you read my article on 112 single emergency number in India which has come, the aim is that the single emergency number, the responder will be connected to the Aadhaar card, that is automatic number identification. This upgradation will be taking place for location identification, so everybody is reached. So you have to have an integrated cycle of detection, forecasting, processing, communication, reaching to last mile, and make him comply. And again, it comes the evaluation and monitoring. Why he is not complying? You have to see those circumstances and ensure it. So disaster management has a massive task, and we all need to be, being a professional, working for it. We ultimately aim a zero death and a resilient society.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Very, very, very enlightening. And so what we have been discussing till now is all high tech technology events, but also at the same time, technology is actually the utilization of science for something beneficial. So a farmer in Assam makes a rabi variety of rice which is flood resilient. A farmer in Alapura in Kerala, they make a Pokkali variety of rice which is even which you can harvest even in salt water. So these are also elements of technology that we need to consider. Now, this is also emerging. When you are working in heat wave areas, in the slum areas, so they are making green, so they're putting vegetables and creepers on the roof that also aids in their livelihoods. So these kind of technology elements are also available. So into the future, when we go, we have to be as diligent in our understanding of the sciences and the advanced sciences as we are with the community sciences. So as disaster managers, as climate change adaptation specialists, we need to match the technology that is happening with the science and the advanced sciences, and also from the community lens. So that is one thing which definitely we need to do.
Thank you. So it's good to see, like you're talking about community things, sides of the disaster. I have been mostly working with the community only in the agriculture and livelihood space. And definitely technology is also very important because that gives us the solution to the problem which the community is facing, and that technology helps us to solve that problem. So coming back to that data in climate change and agriculture platform that has been created, like it has been open source, so anybody can work on it. It has been totally available to public, and we are trying to scale it up. It is using artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the basic core design is like data powered positive deviance. So it uses that thing and try to give us insights regarding where the pattern, like it gives us long-term trend. It doesn't give us short-term trend, but definitely like India, there is a challenge of like we have the boundaries of district and blocks kind of thing, but we don't have farm level boundaries as well as village level boundaries clearly demarcated in a cadastral map across all the. Many states are making the effort, but those GIS related things, that is, if it is done by the government of India, then it will help the platform to get more richer and generate more user specific insights. But these kinds of schemes mostly like this platform is helping the Raitu Vedika scheme of government Telangana to generate use case and help farmers with advisory. And we hope that this platform will soon get scaled to multiple states in India, and we are working on that. Yeah, I'll stop.
Just to add to this, the inundation mapping, that's beginning to happen, and that's going to change the landscape, the response landscape or preparedness landscape. Uh, and that the inundation mapping needs a lot of data, and therefore dense data is the highest need in my opinion.
In fact, data is something which is the biggest drawback in our Indian multi-hazard early warning system. We are trying to work out, last 30 years death data, crop loss data, but these data are not available. There are one or two small memorandum reports. So even Abha, said about the data. Better input, better output.
Yeah.
So data is the essence, and we have to understand importance of data analysis. A state like Bengal, when we were analyzing, if you see the physiographic division of Bengal, the northern Bengal is hilly part, in the foothills of Himalayas. The central Bengal is basin of basically Ganges. The delta region of Sundarban is another part, and southern Bengal is basically hilly part of the Chota Nagpur plateau. So within a state, you have multiples, physiographic, agro-climatic division, where you need adequate data for better forecasting, better early warning, and better efforts. So data and system integration, these are the two biggest challenge, and whosoever is doing, say like Andhra has done now a state-of-the-art decision support system with all the inputs, and the state is reaping the benefits. But the states, mainly the Hindi land, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, these are the states which are, in my practical experience, I find hardly a data available. There is a need to explore data, put the data into the modeling, into the systems, and they are doing a lot of efforts, but an effort with a scientific research and knowledge-based precision is much more rewardful than a research which is than a work which is blind work. So my humble submission, I am not trying to offend anybody, but it is a field where there is need for a lot of research, there is a lot of need for data inputs, and then only if you take a decision support system and action plan, that is going to give you much, much better result. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. No, so I think we are already running out of the time. So let's say rather than taking too much of time, the last question was around the democratization of the data or democratization of the technology, because nowadays everywhere technology is there, but whether the end user is being involved in terms of either designing or whether that is making any impact, positive impact, that is something which we need to see going forward, because we are also talking about 2047 vision. So this is like for anybody, like can we also be futuristic and say that, okay, based on your feeling, this is the thing which is going to change the scenario within the disaster resilience or climate resilience? And it's open, and we don't have much time, so I would request if we can be brief on this. Yeah.
आप शुरू करेंगे? कर दीजिए, आप कर दीजिए. And be brief, क्योंकि
time pressure. Okay. I am able to see the future is very bright. And data is the key requirement. And there is a huge need for ethical management of data. You find the data sources properly, you gather data properly, and store, process properly, and disseminate properly. And that's just necessary. Therefore, I'm envisioning that probably the technology like blockchain and IoTs will help influencing the data integrity in the data management system. And once that is done, then the simplification is possible, demystification is possible. And when you get a good dense data, that helps you to have a better processed output. And that processed output must be open sourced and must be made available to people in a bigger way so that the democratization can take place. I'm envisioning that people at the last mile in their local language, local dialect will be able to get these informations in a much appropriate manner. And the money is not going to be a problem in this country. There is there will be enough money. There is enough money right now. There will be enough money in the future. So any amount of research and analysis that is needed can be possible, because India is the knowledge house of the world. So this is possible. So I am very, very optimistic and very bullish that in 2027 we'll have a much more democratized techno-humanitarian environment.
Thank you, sir.
Lot of things have already been said, but the ultimate thing is that whatever technology we are using, it should go to the benefit of the local people. That is the ultimate, number one. Number two is whatever technology we are using, it should protect our developmental gains. Whatever developmental gains we have achieved so far, and we are going to achieve by 2047, so many gains, those should remain sustained. And disasters should remain hazard. They shall never, never convert into disaster. So, few suggestions. Increase community awareness. As far as earthquake is concerned, nobody bothers about that at local level. So, we have to devise certain ways that not only the prediction, not only the early warning, we have to, word is Chetana. So, community has to be awakened. We are still sleeping for earthquake, say Indo-Gangetic plain. And then this is one part. Second part is risk sensitivity for developmental projects. We have to be very, very accurate in analyzing our risk and before initiating the developmental thing. This story of Joshimath and the hilly area development, same story is in coastal areas, same is in the river plains. So everywhere we have to go, and we have to be very specific, and unless we incorporate risk sensitivity in our developmental projects, we are not going to achieve. So these are the 2-3 things to sustain whatever we have achieved and to gain which shall remain sustained in future. So risk sensitive development planning, community awareness, and use of technology for the benefit of the common people for every aspect. Thank you.
Yeah, so I limit myself because most of the points are already covered, not discussed so many rounds. So I limit myself to climate modeling. So data is not a constraint as far as climate modeling is concerned, because the observation has been going on for so long. So what currently is being done, and futuristic view has to be that data is to be, it should be accessible, it should be open source, then it should be localized, because the access also has to be, the context in terms of resilience, in terms of adaptation becomes very local. So it has to be localized, and then you need to have a strong thrust on capacity building, because when technology comes, then the end user should also have the capacity to use it. So simplifying it, making it user specific. Now, as far as climate modeling is concerned, one step has already been taken. Europe has already started democratizing this data. So what they've done is the entire data bank that is available through the WMO channels, through their own European network channels. So they have integrated entire data. They are going for a concept called digital earth. So it envisages that you integrate the entire global model. So make 2 models, digital twins, what we were talking about earlier. One will feed into the entire real-time data that is available currently, will be fed into one observation model. The second thing is, based on the historical model, one simulation will be generated and the neural networks will try to differentiate. Now, the components are, first thing is their core services platform. It's an open source thing. So they have tools, they have apps, they have decision tools available. So that will be available to everybody. Second thing is their digital lake. They've used a very beautiful terminology, digital lake. Digital lake is basically privy to the entire data that is available. And what they use is, they use not only infrastructure as a service, you're using servers and all, they are even providing computing as a service, because if you have to run a model, then you need high power computing. So the future of technology in climate modeling is HPC, or high performance performance computing also is a service. So that is the future that we are heading towards. And they are aiming by 2030 come out with 2 digital twins in terms of natural extreme events, only natural, not man-made chemical and all. So one is natural extreme, and second thing is climate change adaptation. So they are aiming to complete it by 2030, and then the future maybe till 2047 we are thinking is that they expand it beyond these 2 models and sort of integrate technology, make it available to everybody. It is accessible, it is open source, and the capacity building initiatives are also integrated, so the end user is able to use that. So that is the future of climate modeling.
Very rich interaction going on, so very happy. But The most important thing which I feel is the citizen science. You know, all this technologies and innovations, what we are talking, it has to be converted into a citizen science so that takes the benefit out of it. This point has been well elaborated. Another important thing is a culture of safety and prevention. You know, all these informations, it has to be respected, it has to be complied. So in our system, in our basic, you know, bringing up of a child or our own system, like when you go on airline, there is safety announcements. We have to start a culture of safety and prevention. The moment a child is born in US, it is 911. First thing he is taught in school. But sitting among us only, we can see how many of us have 112 app. Very limited. So it is a respect to the technology, a culture of safety and prevention, a citizen science approach, a compliance to the available, whatever knowledge, risk, information is available. That is the most important. And this risk incorporation, not only the planning of the big programs, even in individual life, family life, community life, city life, everywhere this risk has to be incorporated into the citizen science, a culture of safety and prevention. Ultimately, it boils down to the social science, the behavioral change. All these sciences are useful only once there is a behavioral change in compliance to the every solution which is available. So this citizen science, social behavioral change is most important.
That's a Prime Minister always talks about Jan Andolan.
Right.
So you bring this behavioral change. There is no better approach than Jan Andolan.
Yeah.
So, in summary, Brundtland Commission has defined sustainable development as, ensuring that future generations have ability to meet their own needs, and technology is a massive enabler of that. So, when we leverage technology, we can actually, so we need to invest today so that the future generation can actually leverage the technology to meet their own needs.
Thank you. Most of the things have been already been said. So I will say that I think democratization of technology will happen very fast. The open source movement is going to catch up, and the access to technology to the farmers is already happening in the farm side mostly. And hope like it will help us to like change the farming more climate sustainable and resilient.
Thank you.
Forecast. How many years?
No, thanks. So, as we can see, I think very rich discussion. I think I learned a lot. I also had few things, but I think most of the panelists has covered that. I think one area where we haven't touched upon is this gamification business. It's about this final communication and how the new generation is going to understand the information. I think that is also going to play a major role by 2047, and so we need to see that how we can channelize this platform and ensure that the last mile impact of the information.
Share that localization of from the satellite
Yeah,
information.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, within Seeds, we have been working in two digital based and community based systems because we have been working with the community for long. The one is how you can effectively provide a hyper local risk information. Particularly in area. So what we are doing is we are using a high resolution satellite pictures and feeding that into AI based model, and that gives us a kind of outcome which is around 85-90% accurate because we have built that over last 2-3 years. The second intervention which we are trying to do is we are talking about yeah.
You're using the satellite based data. Then, if you get the more localized information through drone data,
Yeah,
drone-based data,
we
then
can.
your accuracy or the effectiveness of that model is likely to be better. This is
Sure,
my
sure.
intuitive feeling.
Because we what we have done is we have also done a ground truth outcome. So we For your time. It was really nice talking with all of you. And I really like to thank NIDM, UNDP, and all other partners, and including Seeds for this discussion. And I hope we will be in touch and talking more about this and covering more such topics in future. So thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है ठीक है। अच्छा ये हाँ हाँ so you're from हाँ you're from अच्छा ECPF so sir you are for this digital innovation resilience session is this your theme or any other theme resilience technology and innovation for the what's your Jagjit Singh
Whether he wants to.
okay so because so do you have any particular theme in mind where you want to speak किसी एक थीम में आपको बोलना है हाँ किस में बोलना है सर uh, um,
Better?
uh, a very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to this colloquy, where the topic is digital innovation for resilience. And I would like to, before having a brief introduction from each of the panelists, I would like to straight away go to Dr. Preeti Bansal, who is principal scientific advisor, Government of India, to say some welcome words and set tone for the panel discussion. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. The digital innovation for resilience is something which is quite of, so to say, all pervasive, because if we talk about the disaster, they primarily we divide it into three phases. One is the pre-disaster phase, then during the disaster, and of course after post-disaster response, recovery, and rehabilitation. As we are aware that before 2005, when actually the DM Act came in practice, we used to believe in a sort of reactive mode. We used to respond to the disaster whenever it used to come, and primarily those responses were not very structured in fashion, and they were mostly based on spontaneous, quick response kind of knee-jerk effects. Thereafter came the DM Act, and then the concept of paradigm shift came into picture. With the paradigm shift concept, we started preparing SOP, we started preparing plans, and so many guidelines had been prepared by NDMA. Now the next theme should be, if we talk about 2047, the next theme should be paradigm shift to make technology as a mainstream for disaster management tool. As of now, we have moved for quite some time. We have started using sensors in some way, collecting data and doing some prediction analysis here and there. But I do not see a big push on front of digital innovation for DRR. As we are aware that we have a huge startup ecosystem. We are third in the world in number of startups. Um, but still, if I talk about the climate tech startups, mostly they are in the energy sector. Um, Using startups and the deep tech, particularly the deep tech startups, for disaster risk management or the DRR or to build the resilience of the community, I'm not seeing that happening. So if I talk about the vision, the next thing should be mainstreaming deep tech into DRR. I stop here. Over to you.
Now, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for setting the tone and stressing on the need of having or embedding digital innovations into disaster management and disaster risk reduction or the overall policies and strategies. So that's a great tone to start with. Now I would request Dr. Rajneesh Ranjan, who is senior consultant at NIDM, to talk about a few of his experiences and to stress on some specific areas of need and of interest. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair, Dr. Banjal, for setting the stage for this discussion. Uh, Let me introduce about my background, what I am working here at NIDM. I am looking after e-learning at NIDM, which consists of kind of capsule courses. There are 10 capsule courses on disaster management, right from the basic course of 1.5 month duration, that is called the Comprehensive Disaster Risk Management Framework. And there are other 9 thematic courses which NIDM is offering through online digital platform, which is called the Moodle 3.9 we are using. In addition to that, there are self-study portal also, through which the people, those who are not willing to pay the course fee, they can also take the course through the self-study program. So NIDM is, well working towards digital technology adoption, intervention, and revolution. Besides e-learning platform and online courses, NIDM is also using so many, portals for training interventions in the face-to-face program training interventions. We have our online training portal also through which, any person can register for any kind of course that he is interested in. So we have the complete digital technology now available in the NIDM through which a person can register through online portal and can get the digital certificate for completing the course. So this is a kind of revolution in the country in terms of capacity building that is happening at NIDM, and I am looking after e-learning. So this is my professional side experience. Now, revolution in resilience, I must say, everywhere it's digital technology and digital revolution is there. I was listening to the deliberation by Mr. Kamal Kishore, Member Secretary of NDMA. So he was, rightly saying that nowadays there are so many digital solutions and we need to find out the problem in disaster management. So we need to find out where we need to fit such kind of solutions. So right from the artificial intelligence to machine learning to digital technology, everywhere, kind of thing, internet, web browsing, so many things are there. At the time when there was Bhuj earthquake, so people were able to understand about that earthquake after half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour. Now just within a click you can get the information about the plane crash in Nepal, in Josimat, everywhere within 10 to 5 minutes. So this is the beauty of digital technology that is happening. Now I'll cite some of my personal experience of the application of digital technology in DRR. One is about the adoption of automated weather station and automated rain gauge in the country, and that is slowly gaining momentum in the country in terms of disaster resilience, in terms of mitigation, especially in hydrometeorological disasters. Now, under the PMFBY, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, government is promoting to establish a network of weather stations across the country, and also the air quality, the automated rain gauges. In addition also, there are also many of the state governments are also moving towards the development of the network of air quality monitoring stations. So what if we can integrate all the network of weather station across the country, across the world to a single platform? That will create a revolution in terms of weather forecasting and early warning. That will create a revolution in terms of mitigation. So there are so many things to cite with that. I used to take some of the sessions with the hydropower sector, and I was gaining experience from the field level people of the dam. So what they were talking is very horrible. What they were talking, you have your own advanced technology, but at the time of field, when there is a full reservoir level and we need to release the water to the downstream area, we need to quickly, pass on the information to the downstream people. And where we are, getting some problem, how to transmit the information. So the best way now they are adopting is to just to inform the police station at the local downstream level, and they are circulating through the, wireless messages or the loudspeaker. What if there is a common LAT protocol? If there is a kind of sensor-based protocol at the upstream level, if the water is touching a certain kind of height, and that is giving a complete protocol message SMS to all the downstream people, that will create a revolution in terms of relocation, rehabilitation to the people. So this is these are the two the prominent example which I have shared with you, and there are so many examples. I would like others to also share this.
So, thank you very much, Dr. Rajneesh. Building on both what Dr. Preeti ma'am spoke and what you spoke, so we basically understand that there is a lot of technology innovation or core technology work happening in the disaster space, and there are three kind of responses. One is just in time, one is reactive, and other is proactive. So we need to see, as you are saying, we need to identify ways digital can bring these three kinds of responses to communities and engage with communities, so that disaster resilience can be built in. So I would now like to go to Mr. Vaibhav, who is a senior policy advisor with GIZ India, to enlighten us with some of his views.
Thanks, and I think I can only build upon what the other two speakers have talked about. I'll try to kind of talk from the policy conduciveness of moving forward till 2047. How does the network or the list of policies that India has right now, how conducive they are? Very recently, Niti Aayog in 2022 released a strategy for artificial intelligence in the country. And in that, artificial intelligence, one of the focus areas was disaster. So the top think tank of the country is also looking at AI for disaster. I'll give another example, which is the National Digital Mission. Also has disaster and technology linkages. They prioritize disaster as one of the areas where the digital innovation should happen, and it should be prioritized. But other than the national level policies, how is, as Madam talked about, the startups are largely there in the energy, and it is so true, because there is a huge dearth of innovators in the area, but we do have Startup India, we do have Make in India. So the policy conduciveness to have startups, to have small companies, innovators enter into the field of AI, IoT-based technologies and provide solutions to the states, either SDMAs or NDMAs, in transforming and looking forward in a way that, sir, you also talked about, is very much right now where we are sitting in terms of the technology embeddedness, the kind of network in terms of the internet embeddedness that we have in the country, as well as the policy conduciveness. We all have that in place. Now, the discussion, and I think the focus should be on, if we have to reach what, the vision of AI-based planning or AI-based early warning systems for disasters at all the levels, at the disaster-prone areas, at the level of cities, at the level of organizations, at the level of individuals. If we really have to reach there, how do we, take up this conducive atmosphere that the policy and the other missions of the country has created in scaling up the startups to the level where we have it in the energy sector, for example. We have so many startups now coming up on waste sector because of the SUP ban. So, and we have the institutional capacities, at least the infrastructure, I won't say is there, but the institutional capacities, the institutions which can take it up are there, building their capacities towards this, kind of direction of IoT and AI-based services to both SDMAs and NDMAs. Uh, in India, these services are not, it's not that they are not there. Foreign, like the abroad, the companies are setting up services in India. IBM is giving services for disaster management and early warning systems. Tata Consultancy Services, Mahindra, Tech Mahindra is into this space. So even the big businesses are finding, space in the area of disaster, building up technologies which are IoT and AI based, and giving services, giving their own services. It's now, I think, it's more about granulation of this technology, because right now the technologies that are being used, which are AI and IoT based, are into disaster prone areas, which is, say, for example, Uttarakhand, Himachal, Maharashtra, where India historically have seen a lot more disasters than any other place in the country. But as India is growing, cities are converted into bigger cities, villages are converting into towns, many cities are converting into smart cities. There is a lot of inflow and outflow of population within a particular geographical area, and if any disaster strikes there, it will have more harm to kind of population than it would have been 25 years back. So now it is more about reaching more granular levels of not looking at the disaster prone areas within a state, but also looking at city level, also looking at organizational level, also looking at individual level, and not just flooding. Now we are dealing with the issue of air pollution not in Delhi, not just in Delhi. If you look at the heat map or the air pollution map of the country, it is really widespread. It is not just Delhi which has an air pollution problem. It has been widespread in many cities which are really growing. Transportation system is kind of even more growing. So we need these kind of systems at those levels where people are directly getting affected by it. So the future, if you look at, if you really have to, if I think about where does IoT and AI-based disaster resilient, kind of technologies will play a huge role, I would say smart cities is one where futuristically we should look at it. We have in some areas future, I would say, as Madam said, predictive analysis, which is there for air pollution, for example. We do have predictive analysis for air pollution in certain cities. Weather monitoring systems in India are one of the best in the world, because we do use a lot of supercomputer power to predict weather. But why can't we do that for floods? Why can't we do that for urban heat island effects? So we have to really think in those directions. So smart cities, I really think one is predictive analysis of flooding, predictive analysis of heat waves that are hitting us. And that could be, kind of enabled with AI. And as you said, sir, and now having data monitoring systems across the country, because AI
And also talking about some of the immediate steps of implementing or thinking of smart cities as the first steps of implementing some of these ideas. Thank you very much. Yes.
When we talk about the heat wave prediction as well as the air quality monitoring stations, so I would like to just update you that IMD is working towards impact-based weather forecasting, and they are now utilizing the nowcast as well as, and with the help of X-band weather radar, Doppler radar, they are giving all sort of now hourly kind of prediction for what is happening and what will happen in the coming 2 hours or 3 hours. If there is an inclement weather alert, they are giving immediately that okay, this is going to happen. So the same is the condition for heat wave, the same is the condition for air quality also. So what the country is working towards the multi-hazard early warning and forecasting system. This is a big revolution in the country that is gaining momentum, you know.
Request Mr. Manoj Kumar.
Point of view. Then we have accuracy, transparency, and then performance under extreme conditions. Because it's fairly easy. It's like batting on a regular pitch, but batting when the ball is swinging hard, that's real talent. Climate change, particularly the extreme weather events like flood and drought. So, given the large scale of impact and the immediacy of response beyond saving lives, is where digital technology really shine through. And remote sensing has done wonders in terms of covering large area and assessing crop losses. Weber was talking about policy conduciveness, and Dr. Ranjan was talking about Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Now you see, if you combine these two, the Ministry of Agriculture is doing really that. They have made several task forces which are looking into examining into yield models, and they are examining into how remote sensing can be directly applied. And there are a lot of pilots going on with the startups that we were talking about. So it's a very good example of how all these different forces are converging, driven by the digital technology. And to give an example, we did the assessment of the 2015 Chennai flood, which everybody knows about, when the whole city was flooded. But similarly, there was another sort of tragedy unfolding in the rural hinterlands of Tamil Nadu, which is the rice bowl area of South India, so to speak. And because of remote sensing technology, we were able to support the Department of Agriculture in, first of all, identifying which are the worst affected areas. And with the help of our partner, which is the Tamil Nadu Agricultural University, we were also able to give them advice, okay, what kind of relief measures are required. You just can't distribute anything and everything. So we sort of mobilized flood-resistant paddy varieties, because they are apt in that, and which farmers to get it first, who should get it first. So the paddy, CO45, which means Coimbatore 45. There are many other varieties which I can share with you later on. So, and a lot of seedlings were also, so they could salvage the session, the season really. So that was one example. One of the key hallmark of digital technology is the democratization. Because technology per se has been, to begin with, it was in the hands of military. Then it came in the hands of governments, departments, and big businesses, as Weber was talking about. Now, you see, most of us have some sort of digital device at our disposal. What is happening is that the urban phenomena, what you were talking about, now people are tweeting about the disaster. So that's the real-time monitoring happening from the people's point of view. There is no government involved. There is no policy involved. It's coming from the people. That is democratization. And then from the agriculture sort of, see, remote sensing is all from the space, but we still have to go and validate on the ground. That is where there's a revolution unfolding from the validation point of view in the scientific community, where we are improving the technology, machine learning, AI, because people are empowered. Because they have these access to devices.
Majority of data comes from crowdsourcing.
Right. So I'll summarize my point. Basically, digital technology helps quantify the losses that are incurred, at least in agriculture, I can say, from my own example. Quantification of losses, then real-time monitoring of losses, because satellites, they are there, and then we have timeliness, accuracy and consistency. Even in difficult circumstances, they are able to predict. And I think there is a bright future. And with the advancement in hardware and software technology, I think we will be better prepared going forward. Thank you.
So very interesting thing that I'm happy that you spoke about democratization, data democratization. So if we talk about 2047, merging those med departments network is okay. Uh, but something like having a digital data democratization platform where all the sensor-based data which we are collecting could be used as a platform, collaboration platform for everyone, for startups, for the planners, policy and planners, and for the smart city mission executives to actually bank upon. So this is a kind of vision. I think we are doing a lot, many good things, and we have to leverage and move forward through the data democratization if we really want to go for the digital transformation. Yeah, so I stop here.
So thank you, Mr. Manoj, and thank you, ma'am, for bringing the very important point of how digital is adding to democratization, basically digital democratization, as well as data democratization, where data is not privy to certain individuals or organizations, but is available for everyone to do whatever they want to do. And then one of the major bottlenecks of all policies, I mean, is making and ensuring that policy and impact of policy reaches the last mile. And I think digital is the pathway, or could be the pathway, especially in 2047. I would now request Mr. Rohit to present some insights before myself coming up with an example use case.
Thank you, Mr. Gidhari. Thank you, Chair Ma'am. So I'll just pick it from where Ma'am pointed it out, and also Manoj talked about the data democratization. So I come from a research background. We see that there's a lot of data available everywhere, but not usable. So having a data network is one thing, but having the adequate data and whether it is reaching to the last man who needs it or the researcher who needs it is a little crucial. We, as a part of GIZ project, Climate Change Adaptation Rural India, and CAFRI project, we've been developing quite a few portals and knowledge products, I would say, digital platforms. In fact, Tattva Foundation also supported us in that, where we try to build and provide a single-stop platform for all the information needed for the state. If I talk about Climate Change Portal, which we supported Government of Uttar Pradesh, so it gives one-stop platform for all the information a user would need with respect to climate vulnerability, with respect to all the schemes going in this state, and so on and so forth. So again, if I talk about the other aspects on the digital innovations, we're also supporting Government of Himachal Pradesh in establishing a climate change reference center, which we call a climate studio, where we are focusing from a school kid to a researcher to a scientist. Whosoever visits that lab can have the overall idea of what climate change is, how it is advancing, what changes are needed, what are the steps which government has taken, national level, global level, as well as how the state has been progressing on that. So these are few minor steps, baby steps, I would say, which we are trying to do, but still there is a void of a lot of networking, I would say. As a researcher, I faced it, like we had to go for, I happen to have a PhD in air pollution, so I know it was a nightmare to get data for the right moment, right time. We know there are trends, we know dialect trends are there are seasonal variability, but we know that, but there is a lot of data everywhere, but it's not interconnected. We don't know how to use it, where to use it, and how much to use it. That's one important aspect. We also supported in the previous project, we developed a climate change vulnerability portal where we almost included 10 ensemble models which predicts and gives all the weather parameters for all the district level data set is there. So we almost collated more than 50 years of IMD data, and we tried to put it across in a vulnerability portal .com. So I'm also carrying a bookmark for that. So, but the idea is how we kind of need them in a single thread. There is a lot of information available, but for a policy person, for a researcher, for a practitioner, how we can use it. So yeah, yeah, it should be. We have actually supported knowledge portal as well from government of UP. We have developed that. We have also created knowledge network where we try to indicate the government of Uttar Pradesh what existing networks they are. Like if they want if we are trying to develop a knowledge network of academic institutions, we gave them a overall how many institutions are there in the state, what are their broad areas of working, whether they are working on policy aspect, science aspect, or practice aspect, and we just decategorized it and provided it to them. We're developing a portal in that. But so the idea is just giving everything on a single platter. Whatsoever is needed can be taken or absorbed from that. That at a national level, that is still missing. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rohit. Thank you for building on the idea of democratization of data, and as well as how digital aids in that, and then bringing up this very important point that we might have a day, and the way we are progressing, we will have a lot of data, but how do we convert that into information, knowledge, and how do we contextualize it for different settings so that it becomes usable for different stakeholders, be a researcher, be a student, be a farmer or a fisherman, how that data is converted, contextualized, and made usable, consumable for the last mile stakeholder. So that's a brilliant point, and that sets up the tone for me. I'm Girdhari. I represent a not-for-profit technology a foundation called Tattva Foundation. So we are working, and I'll talk about a specific use case which we presented recently, ideated and presently recently, and it was the winner of ICT for Inclusion Award 2022. Now, inclusion is something which we'll have to remember. The power of digital also comes how it can basically open up inclusion, how it can basically demystify that component. And we developed a product called Shelter, which focuses on geriatrics and disabled people. And the idea is, if we can make a platform which uses artificial intelligence and machine learning, obviously, but overall it's a simple platform which is able to understand the user. If I am a blind person or if I am deaf, if my needs are very same as an able-bodied person, I need information, I need knowledge, I need to connect with people, I need to express my views, and I also need to engage with policymakers, with someone who is having similar capacities. And whenever, especially in the case of disaster, my needs are the existing solutions might be blind to my needs. So we especially with the help of GIZ and similar organizations, so we came up with the idea of Shelter, which is an AI-enabled platform which provides basically it uses AI and machine learning to tailor itself to the user's need. And the user could be an old person, elderly person, or a person with special needs. It provides information, it provides a self-learning. It's a self-learning platform, as you spoke about as well. But there, right now, the content you might also be having, as we have seen, it's primarily designed for the able people. Even WhatsApp is designed that way. Facebook is designed that way. So we have to bring in that sensitivity towards these people. So we want to make the solution so that information is there, and we would like to use AI to aggregate the information, not generate it, because already a lot of the information is existing, but it needs to be tailored to their needs. So for example, if it's written, it can be voice enabled, it can be a sign language, and there are tools which are available which can do those things using different technologies, and they have to be brought into a common platform, and that platform needs to be integrated to various data sources, and this data needs to be customized to their needs. Also, there is going to be in Shelter, there is a networking platform. So I think if I have certain, I'm specially abled and with certain disability, then I would be able to connect better with a community of my own. So that is something which the platform does. The third most important thing which the platform aims to do is to aggregate their voices and to make them part of the strategies and policies of policymakers, especially in the area of climate change and climate action. So this solution, we are going ahead and implementing it with the help of government of UP. We'll be launching it soon in Uttar Pradesh, and then we'll be expanding it to other parts of the country. But it's a small example of how digital innovation can give you an entry to the rural household or the rural community, because community engagement there is a lot of advancement which is happening at different levels, but at the end of the day it has to connect to that community which is most affected, be that farmer or that household, that student, that women, or that disabled person who's there in those households. It can be urban also. So if the action is going to happen there, then we need to have a connect, and that is something which we are trying to do with Shelter, but focused on geriatrics and specially abled people for now. So I'll conclude with that. And, sir, if you want to have Mr. Jagjit Singh ji, who is from ECPFO, you have some ideas. Please, sir.
Sir, I am from, thank you, ma'am. I am from ECPFO NGO. It is my NGO. I am treasurer in ECPFO, International Organization in Environment. And I am not expert in environment, but I am from legal profession. I can speak in Hindi.
हाँ सर, बिल्कुल सर.
Okay. देखिए, आज हम सबसे बड़ी जो प्रॉब्लम है इस एरिया में, एक तो अर्थक्वेक की है, क्योंकि ये जो मुझे थोड़ा सा आइडिया है कि तीसरी थर्ड कैटेगरी में हम यहाँ ये आता है, जिसमें बार बार अर्थक्वेक आ रहे हैं. तो इसमें सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि देखो, पुराने टाइम में क्या होता था कि जो जानवर का बिहेवियर था ना, उससे भी पता लग जाया करता कि कोई ना कोई कुछ ना कुछ होगा. तो कहीं ना कहीं रिसर्च वर्क इस पे किया जा सकता है, करना चाहिए. और इसके साथ साथ जैसे अभी पिछले दिनों इस एरिया में अर्थक्वेक आया, और उसके बाद जो लोगों में जो चर्चा थी कि इस पे जितना रिसर्च होना चाहिए था उतना रिसर्च नहीं हुआ, लेकिन फिर भी आज हमने इस पे काफ़ी जो डिजिटलाइजेशन की वजह से उससे काफ़ी कंट्रोल भी किया है. और आगे भी ऐसी डिवाइसेज हैं जो अभी मैंने सुना है कि कोई अभी रिसर्च हुई है या नया कोई डिवाइस आया है, जिससे ये पता लग सकता है कि कहीं न कहीं कोई न कोई हलचल है नीचे, जिसकी वजह से ये. दूसरा ये है कि जो सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है इस एरिया में एग्रीकल्चरिस्ट की, उसमें क्या है कि कभी तो बरसात ज़्यादा हो जाती है, फ्लड आ जाता है, कभी बरसात नहीं होती, सूखा आ जाता है. तो इसमें कहीं न कहीं इस पे भी डिजिटलाइजेशन से हम इस पे कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं, या इस पे हमने पहले भी रिसर्च की है और आगे भी इस पे काम किया जा सकता है. तो मेरा सिर्फ यही है कि आपने जो मुझे यहाँ पे जो टाइम दिया, मुझे मौका दिया, थोड़ा सा मुझे इस चीज़ का आइडिया नहीं था, मैं तो वैसे ही यहाँ पे आया हुआ था.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जगजीत जी. आपने दो बहुत अहम मुद्दों पे बात करी. आपने एक कहा लोकल विजडम की बात करी कि समुदाय में ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग विजडम है, क्या टेक्नोलॉजी उनको भी ले सकती है, और दूसरा आपने एग्रीकल्चर की बात करी जिस पे मनोज जी ने भी बोला.
सर, तो कई इसमें इस टेक्नोलॉजी की मैं दूसरी बात कर रहा था. कई ऐसी फसल हैं जो एटमॉस्फेयर, उसके जो एनवायरनमेंट या एटमॉस्फेयर के अनुसार या उस पे आनी चाहिए, लेकिन उस पे भी रिसर्च किया जा सकता है. जैसे कौन सी फसल जिस एरिया एनवायरनमेंट चेंज हो रहा है, एनवायरनमेंट में जो चेंज आया है उसकी वजह से अब इनबैलेंस हुआ है, और उसमें कुछ ऐसी फसल हैं जो पहले ठीक थी, जो उस मौसम की वो सही फसल थी, लेकिन आज उसकी वजह से गड़बड़ हो रही है, और किसान आज भी उसी को अपनाए हुए हैं. तो उसमें भी चेंज करना चाहिए. दूसरा ये है कि नई टेक्नोलॉजी जो आएगी उससे ये भी एक शोध का विषय है कि आज के दिन कौन से एरिया में कितना क्लाइमेट चेंज हुआ है, और किसके अनुसार उसमें वो फसल उगाई जा सकती है. तो
धन्यवाद जगजीत जी, आपने दो और अहम मुद्दे कहे जो मनोज जी ने भी छेड़े थे। अडेप्टेशन की बात, ऐसी फसलों की बात जो कि उस क्लाइमेट में अच्छे से उग सके और उसके लिए सही हो उस वक्त पे। और दूसरी एक और इम्पॉर्टेंट बात जो आपने कही है वो ये कि हम कैसे इंक्लूसिवली ये सब काम कर सकते हैं और कैसे इसको आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं, और डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी के रिसर्च के क्या क्या मुद्दे हो सकते हैं किसानों के लिए खासकर। मैम, नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू रिक्वेस्ट यू टू conclude this discussion.
Thank you very much, Girdhari. You have handled the session so well, and I'm thankful to all the co-panelists here. You know, we all talk about digital so well. It's all pervasive also. But as one point which emerged, that data democratization, and the second part which is very important is using this transformation for the inclusive development of people. And if we talk about the resilience, inclusive resilience of people, understanding their vulnerabilities, they may not be private to the technological options, but as a solution provider, as policy maker, as administrator, and as a knowledge, some sort of knowledge holding and practitioner kind of people, it's about joint responsibility to create that kind of ecosystem, so that by the time we reach collectively to 2047, hopefully, uh, we see a better, well prepared people, and I think this is how we can close this on this note. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. As part of the Resilience and Sustainability Summit Vision 2047, tying up hands with NIDM and also reputed organizations from Government of India, the Indian Institute of Technology Roorkee jointly organized this colloquy on technology and innovation for DRR. Let me have the privilege of introducing the distinguished panelists who are present here. I welcome Professor Sumit Sen, Head, Center of Excellence in Disaster Mitigation and Management, IIT Roorkee, the convener of this event. I wholeheartedly welcome Professor J.K. Garg, Director, Tribhuvan College of Environment and Development Sciences, Neemrana, Rajasthan. I also welcome Professor Mahua Mukherjee, Department of Architecture and Planning, Joint Faculty and ex-Head, Center of Excellence in Disaster Mitigation and Management, IIT Roorkee. I also welcome Professor Ajanta Goswami, Department of Earth Sciences, Joint Faculty at the Center of Excellence in Disaster Mitigation and Management, IIT Roorkee, and Dr. Preeti Bansal, Advisor, PSA Office, Government of India, and Dr. S.K. Srivastava, CGM, Scientist Engineer H, Indian Space Research Organization, also NRSE, and Ms. Akansha Tyagi, Senior Editor, Springer Nature, and myself, Professor Sri Krishnan, from Center of Excellence in Disaster Mitigation and Management, IIT Roorkee. With this brief introduction, I give over the stage to Professor Sumit Sen to start the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sri Krishnan. So, as we all heard that we are in a place where we are going to discuss about the technology and innovation for disaster risk reduction. So, I'll just give you a very few words what we thought of as a preamble. In terms of, we talk about the science, technology, and innovation are crucial to disaster risk management and reduction. So to address that, in terms of these gaps, so we have social issues, we have disaster risk happening. The sanitary framework for disaster risk reduction promotes the investment in creating innovation and technology in long-term solution-driven research in disaster risk management. So with this, a small brief. So what we thought of this discussion to move on in two parts. So here we have panelists from representing the government sides, as well as from the academician, and also the one of the sector which really plays a big role in terms of knowledge dissemination. How do you connect? So when we talk about this, so in terms of when we do the academicians do the research, and as the government people, we are in line government stake agencies, they are implementing those DRR models for the society. But still there are gaps in there, and this is what our first round of our discussion will focus on. That what are those challenges and what are those expectations we have from both the sides of our sectors who are working specifically for the DRR models. So I start with our colleagues from the government representation. I'll start with Dr. Bansal. If she can share her thoughts that what are the expectations of the government agencies who are working from the academicians, the researchers, what the government really looks for, which they can really easily which can apply. So I would like to share this with Dr. Bansal.
Thank you very much, Professor. I would like to divide this in two parts. One is what is the problem statement and the solutions which we expect from the academicians as providing those kind of solution to science, technology, and innovation. The problem statement, so to say, is we all know that due to the climate change or rapid urbanization or unplanned growth, so to say, we are facing a huge, extremely increasing number of disasters, one way or other in our day-to-day life. We also know about the Indian geography. We are prone to various kind of disasters. somewhere the flood, somewhere even the plate tectonics are there, so seismic belts are there. We are prone to flood, we are prone to cyclones, so many, so to say. And if we talk about the policy, there are three important levers which are available. One is the National Disaster Management Policy and Plans. After enactment of Disaster Management Act, all these instruments have been in place by the government. There is National Institute, there is National Disaster Management Authority, SDMAs are there. So some way the institutional ecosystem have been created. The second lever could be the national education policy, which academicians can use. And the third lever could be Startup India and all those kind of promising things which academicians through their incubators can use as a solution provider. Now coming to the academia. We really respect the science technology ecosystem to support as a solution provider for these kind of challenges. Internationally, three kind of frameworks are available. If we talk about the COP27 latest or the Paris Climate Agreement, then SFDRR, SEDI framework, and then SDG goals are there. We normally treat them independently, but in terms of disaster, they are interrelated. And I see a huge role of academicians to interweave them together while creating those kind of programs, educational programs, and sort of providing that kind of insights to their students and innovators that the problems are not isolated in nature. And technology could be used as a solution provider for all three of them together. And therefore, educationists can pass on those kind of wisdom to their students that the deep tech things could be easily used. I'm not going to talk about AI, ML, and throwing blockchain, all those jargon. We all know if a democratization of data is done, then AI and the prediction model are very much available for the early warnings. Mobile network, now it's 5G. So we have connected sensor-based ecosystem which is available. And we have startup India policies for seed funding, this kind of deep tech startups, specifically designed to provide solution for the DRR. So I'm stopping here. Going forward, we can discuss. Yeah.
I request Dr. S.K. Srivastava to share.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Sen. And first of all, it's my privilege to be part of this particular colloquy. I am representing Indian Space Research Organization. So my discussion would be basically divided into two parts. In the first, I would talk about the programs of the ISRO as far as the disaster risk reduction is concerned, and the various initiatives which we have in place for participation of the academic institutions in our program. And the second part is basically the expectations from the academic institutions. So this is how I would talk about. And when I say the ISRO's program, what I mean is basically the space-based applications for supporting the disaster-related applications. So we have a program which is called as Disaster Management Support Program. And under that particular program, ISRO, Department of Space, provides support to the state government, central government for disaster-related services using space-based inputs. Right? And when I say space-based inputs, of course, a lot of ground-based data sets also come into the picture along with the space-based data sets and the technology. And we at ISRO, we recognize very well the role of the academic institutions which they can play as a part of the research in the space technology, space applications, and particularly in the domain of disaster risk reduction. So we have certain mechanisms in place. We have the RESPOND program, which is basically the sponsored research program, specifically meant for academic institutions to participate. right? And then ISRO has also opened the space technology cells. We also have the regional academic center for space located in different parts of the country, and they are basically established in the Indian Institute of Technologies, Indian Institute of Science, and also in the National Institute of Technologies, right? So there are a lot of opportunities available as part of the Respond program, as well as the collaboration which we have with the space technology cells and also the regional academic center for space. Then we, under the DMSP program, which is Disaster Management Support Program, we also have the opportunities for the academic institutions as well as the research institutions to float the proposals as a part of the announcement of opportunity, both for the capacity building related activities and also for the research activities, right? So, and at the same time, no, we have also published. Basically, there are two very important documents which are available in our website. One is called the Respond Basket, wherein the all the the research areas, particularly which are available for the academic institutions to work in collaboration with ISRO scientists, is available in the website. And also there is another document which is called Research Areas in Space, that is specifically meant for the STCs and the RSCS, which is basically Regional Academic Center for Space. So these two documents are very important documents, wherein the academic institutions, they can go through it, wherein we have highlighted different areas, including the space applications and the disaster risk reduction. So there could be participation from the academic institutions. Now, as far as the expectations from the academic institutions is concerned in the field of DRR. No, we all know that early warning of the disasters or the hazards is one of the critical challenge which remains even today, and a lot of research activities need to take place in this particular area of early warning of disasters. So from the academic institutions, no, we look forward for developing those methodologies, the algorithms for the early warning of disasters. So this is point number one. Then the second thing, which is what could be important, is that academic institutions, with the support of the young researchers, the students, we can come out with the tools, for rapid analysis of the data sets. And those data sets can come from the space technology. It can come from the ground-based observation. So this is another point which I would like to make here. And also at the same time, because the academic institutions, they have particularly the lot of student workforce, so they can also be utilized for collecting the ground data sets during the times of disaster, and there are some success stories in that particular direction also. And then of course academic institutions are playing a big role in developing the trained human resource. That is, anyway, it has to continue, and training, particularly the quality training in the area of disaster risk reduction and the associated technologies, it has to go on. And another point which I would like to make here, again, the student workforce is very, very important. So whatever we are doing, whatever understanding we have got, we should train our students. They can basically work with the communities for reducing the disasters, at the local level, at the panchayat level. And there was some discussion also in the pre-lunch session, particularly on this particular aspect. So with this, I will close here. Thank you so very much. I'll come back.
Thank you, Dr. Srivastava. I think we heard from the government side what they expect from the academicians. Let's hear from the academician side. So the question here is, what does, when we do as a researchers, I'm also academician, so when we do our research, what do we really expect our research and how the government will take forward that? So I'll start with Professor J.K. Garg.
Thank you, Professor Sen. Actually, when we talk about whatever has been discussed by our government representatives, we have to keep 2047 in mind. And the theme of the summit also, that which talks about resilience and sustainability. So what I will address is that how technology, which may be ground-based or satellite-based, is very important for resilience and sustainability. When we talk of sustainability, first thing which comes to our mind is ecosystem integrity. In my opinion, most of government institutions, people are not fully aware of that for inculcating sustainability in any system, ecosystem integrity is of utmost importance. When we talk of ecosystem integrity, then how can we do it and what technology can be used and what academia can provide to the government. The thing is that there is an approach which has started coming after 1985 and that is based on landscape approach, landscape ecology. Though the term came in 1939, Troll was the person to give it, but once the satellites came into picture and GIS came into being, then this approach is the only solution for inducing resilience and sustainability especially in the rural areas. Urban areas, we have different other things. And the thing is that these things are available to us. Academia has been trying to pursue it, and there are a lot of papers, not only by Indians, but by foreigners also, which say that only solution for sustainability is ecosystem integrity. Otherwise, there is no, this thing. And this is also important for ecosystem restoration. This decade, incidentally, is the decade of ecosystem restoration, as has been declared by UN. And for ecosystem restoration also, that also means we have to restore the ecosystem integrity. And there again, we have to have landscape. Actually, many people may, they may be knowing, but landscape is basically mosaic of interacting ecosystems or adjoining ecosystems. And their satellites play a big role. And for sustainable development, the most important thing is biodiversity. Now in the month of December, we have had this COP15 for biodiversity. Earlier in November, COP27 for, by UNFCCC. Biodiversity is the base of everything in life. If we have to sustain life, we have to sustain biodiversity. And its monitoring is also very, very important. Now there are satellite-based or remote sensing amenable variables, which are called essential biodiversity variables. There is no way we can monitor biodiversity except using the technology. And that is where this technology, and now we have satellites which have very fine resolution, 40 centimeter, 50 centimeter, 1 meter, and it is possible to monitor not only terrestrial biodiversity, but aquatic biodiversity and marine biodiversity. There we need seascape approach instead of landscape approach. So in summary, what I want to say is that things are available. Maybe they may require some refinement, but government has to implement along those lines. Otherwise, we'll keep on talking about sustainability and resilience, and that will remain like this only. Thank you. I close at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Garg. My request, Professor Bhawan, if you want to speak a few words.
Thank you. I would like to really then highlight the way I think academicians, we believe we are doing, we are trying to do our best for this disaster risk reduction. Disaster risk reduction, this particular field didn't come from the academic side at all. It came from the necessity. So it gradually developed, evolved. But whenever we look for that, whatever we are doing, whether that particular output is actually having some meaningful, it is becoming meaningful input for some other activities or not, I think there probably we have lot of questions. And I do believe government side also have a very parallel track line. Government are also bringing lot of good policies, and they are trying to really bring other stakeholders into the fold. But I believe these two tracks, it used to be very parallel probably, at least in previous decades. Gradually they are trying to merge together, or at least trying to come closer. And I believe that initiative should be there more and more. Otherwise, both the sides are losing. With that, I would like to stop here. Thanks.
Professor Ajanta Goswami, if you would like to share.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Sumit. So I'm Ajanta Goswami. I'm faculty at IIT Roorkee. So as the question goes on, let me first start with that what exactly we academicians are doing. Okay, whether it is university, IIT, NIT, anywhere. So we are involved with two particular things or three particular things. One is research, another is teaching, and third is training. So when you go towards research, research means we are generating some new knowledge. When we are going for teaching or education, so there we are dissipating the knowledge, or we are transferring the knowledge to our students or whoever is there. And when we are involved with training, so we are basically standardizing the practices or actions. So it means in training, we tell people to do certain thing in certain particular way, which is the best possible way. In education, the whole thing is more open. Like we are just showing the window and people can peep out and they can see anything outside. So that's what is education. So in that process, like in research, what we are doing in research, it could be scientific research, it could be technological innovations or technological contributions or innovations also. If it is scientific research, it means we are looking at the fact, we are finding some, understanding the processes, we are developing methodology. So that's what is scientific research, and ends up with some research papers. So when we are doing some technological work, so there we are doing invention, which means we are creating something new which is not existing anywhere else. So there we are ending up with certain patents. And then third comes innovation. So now people are talking a lot about innovation. So when we talk about innovation, it means it's a new idea. Okay, so which is not a completely new thing. We are not inventing a new thing. Rather, we are improvising whatever is present there so that it could be used by the society in more better way. So here the focus is like, rather than doing both research in terms of science as well as technology, we should also focus on innovations. Because when we are focusing on innovation, it means we are bringing both science as well as technology more towards the society, which is more usable. So for example, I'll give one example. When I finished my PhD from IIT Roorkee, I joined one private company or MNC. So I was working there. So it was based on petroleum industry. So we were working for petroleum industry. So there were certain ways of doing things. There were certain softwares which we were supposed to run. So what I did, that since I had one, I was trained in particular way that you will always have to improvise thing. Okay, so I tried to customize many of the softwares. So when I customized most of the softwares, I was so happy. I thought that I'll be appreciated by my boss. But rather I was called back and I was scolded. He told me that, what are you doing? By changing the softwares or customizing the software, you are creating problem for the whole chain, because it's only you who know this software, not the other people, the way that you have customized. So in the similar way, whatever research we are doing in academics, okay, so if it is transferred to the people who are working on ground, okay, so in that case, the thing is that it should be transferred in such a way that right from the base level to the top level should know how that thing should be worked on or how that thing should be done. Because if it is not transferred in that way and we are transferring only to few people, or we are only publishing paper, or we are only involved with certain patents, so in that way we won't be addressing the whole ecosystem where the technology is basically applied by the ground people. So that's what I feel, that there should be some amount of a more close relation both between the industry as well as academia, so that the research that academias are doing can be transferred to industries and it can be used in more smooth way. Or on the other way, the problems that industries are seeing, or not only industry but the ground people are seeing, that can be asked to academia that, okay, we need the solution to those problems. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll request Mr. Kancha if you would like to add there in that line. But also I have another specific question for you. So how does the knowledge dissemination platform like Springer Nature can play a big role in terms of what you heard from the government side as well as from the academician side?
Thank you so much for this question. I, first of all, feel really privileged and honored to be part of this panel. And I represent Springer Nature, which is a global academic publisher, and we believe in advancing discovery. And essentially, we are playing a bridge in between the researchers and the people on ground who need that information to bring out the change. So we are the connecting link to actually convert the research in the lab to practical application. And how we do it is through various publications that we bring out with NIDM. Also, we have a book series. We have various journals as well, which are highlighting the important issues around disaster management, sustainability, and resilience. We also organize various forums and start discussions and conversations within academia and other stakeholders on finding solutions and probably convert that into some kind of a publication. And while doing this, what we make sure is that we are inclusive. We are a big advocate of diversity. And when we are doing that, we are ensuring that that diversity in terms of gender, in terms of geography, and in terms of themes and various concepts is taken care of. So in most of our publications, we strive to achieve this balance, that we cover a diversity of themes from various perspectives. We are inclusive of all genders and of all geographies also, so that the work that is coming out is global, is international, and is actually helping the people on ground to find solutions of probably the biggest challenge the world is facing today. And we are also supporting open research and also SDGs. That's also one of our major agenda and goal, to support researchers in achieving the sustainable development goals. So this is how I feel in various formats Springer is supporting the cause.
Thank you, Akansha, for really nicely putting it up, how the Springer Nature can really play a big role. To round up this session, what we heard from the government side, also from the academician side, just one last question for this roundup. I'll start with maybe Professor Shri Krishnan. So can you give me one word for the challenge which you as academician think to connect to the government? So I just need one word from everyone. So one word which expresses your challenge to connect the academicians to the government.
Thank you, Professor Sen. Maybe a difficult question to answer in one word, but anyhow, I will try. I think convincing them to implement our research is the biggest challenge I face, especially as I understand, especially in developing countries. This problem may not be there in developed countries, but research implementation is the biggest challenge.
Okay.
So I conclude with
that. That's too many words, but I think I'll take it implementation. All right, Professor Goswami.
Well, I think this is discussed in many forums. I feel data sharing.
Data sharing.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Akansha.
Probably I'll be using a little bit more than one word. But to summarize, I think technology and using the power of education, and now I'm really happy with the new education policy, and here we have a window where we can include disaster management and sustainability resilience in the curriculum, and especially at the school level. So if we can catch them early and educate them from that stage itself, I think that will bring a lot of difference in long term. And using the upcoming technologies, like ma'am also mentioned about blockchain and deep technology, I think this is where the future lies. So we should move fast and take the advantage of these things.
Thank you, Akansha. Ma'am.
I believe that delivery from the academic side should be as useful in terms of language or output format, so that government should feel comfortable.
So dissemination is
the way we should do that format.
Right. Thank you.
I think we can work.
Professor Garg.
Very difficult question, Professor Sen. But the thing is that whatever we do, most of the times actually the problem is that government has started its parallel research organizations, especially in India, university's role, IIT's role has been very marginal because we have ISRO, we have Department of Atomic Energy, DRDO. My problem is that government should give more liberty to the academic institutions and maybe liberty and data sharing. That's what I can say.
Thank you.
Very difficult question.
Thank you, Professor Garg. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I also agree. It's a difficult question. It cannot be just answered in just one word. You said no. I thought the the scientists, the technologists, there is some kind of disconnect between the scientists, technologists, and the community. So if that disconnect could be minimized, I think we would be able to do a big job as far as the DRR is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for me, the challenge is synergy. That is a major problem of India. We have about 30,000 higher education institutes, some of them of caliber of IITs and ITs. We have government funded labs, we have ISRO. We have policies, open space policy, we have so many, now the geospatial policy. So we have policies, but somehow we are not able to converge and do synergize.
Thank you, Dr. Bansal. I think we'll stop here for our first section of our uh, discussion. So I'll move on to the second round. So as we are basically attending this resilience summit for 2047. So my question to all the panelists one by one is, what are the necessary next steps? Like, what's the vision to make aware and motivate the individuals and institutions in India to take appropriate action of technology and innovation transfer to public for DRR? So the question is, what's the next step? What you think our vision could be to take this technology and development, maybe for the individual or for the institutional level? What's your thing? Thank you. I'll start with maybe from Dr. Bansal.
Thank you. So for me, the challenge is again creating that kind of convergence and integration, where as an individual researcher, one could see the outcome is leading to some last mile, and so that the person is actually motivated to these kind of things, because as Professor Goswami has suggested, that writing paper, filing for patents, all these are there. We are producing a significant number of PhDs, but are we able to translate our lab work raising to the TRL 9? That is a question. And the second thing is that it should be a combination of top-down and bottom-up approach. We are producing some solution, but whether it is workable to the last person or not, that kind of bottom-up knowledge and the wisdom, I should say rather, that should emerge. And somewhere there's people who are in the DRR, they have to play a significant role in creating that kind of integration. Because if we talk about the sustainability, then it's about creating those kind of systems which make it sustainable till 2047. Stop.
Thank you, Professor Sen. The first and foremost which comes to my mind is basically developing an ecosystem in the country to deal with the disaster risk at all levels, right, including the community who are living in the rural areas. And if you want to spread this particular aspect amongst the public, and the individuals, there are many things there are many actions which I thought could be relevant. One is that maybe at the school level itself, we should introduce the curriculum which are related to disasters. There are certain things available, but I think some more efforts need to be done. That is one thing. Second point, what I thought is the capacity building. And when I say capacity building at all levels, starting from the school students to the college students, to the university students, to the teachers, at all levels again, and also ultimately at the last mile. That means basically the communities which are living in the villages of our country. So that is another very important thing. Capacity building, I think, is the key if we have to deal with the aspect of the disaster risk reduction. And then also I thought that documentation of the challenging areas in research, particularly from the point of view of the early warning of disasters, could also one of the focus areas. And the stakeholder organizations, I think, they should come out with some kind of list that these are the areas wherein the academic institutions or any other research institutions they can pitch in and develop the methods or the algorithms. So that is one part of it. And second, another thing which I thought is we have to have the DRR. We have to develop an ecosystem for the DRR enterprise, right? We have to promote, the small industries and also the startups to venture into the disaster risk reduction related issues. So, and also, I mean, there are many ways through which we can encourage the people, the young researchers, particularly who are there in the academic institutions. They also should be given, some kind of facilities, infrastructure, or some mentorship or the technical support, for developing or for working on the innovative ideas what they have, and then which can subsequently grow as the startups. So these are few of the points which I thought I can share. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Srivastav. I'll move on to Dr. Professor Garg.
Yeah, actually now I'll talk about at the ground level. Actually, the first responders are the people who are there, and how science and technology or our academia can help them. Actually, we have to find out, suppose, some disaster is in the pipeline, then can we ensure that the local people react to it in a favorable way? They are able to take action themselves. Example, I will tell you that for floods, the issue is that nearby wetlands have been encroached upon, whether it is urban areas or rural areas. Wetlands have to, actually they have been encroached upon, and they are degraded. And one way to assess their degradation status is a simple instrument like SECI-DISC. That will tell us whether the wetland will be able to perform its functions or not. So basically what we have to do is that we have to, start training our local people in nature-based solutions. And slowly, if nature-based solutions, people are able to imbibe those things, then perhaps we'll reach a stage by 2047 that people themselves will react in a manner that damages and losses are least. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Garg. May I request Professor Mukherjee?
Yeah, thank you. I believe for 2047, the vision for us, for our country probably is, we don't have probably any other alternative other than trying to make us as resilient as possible. And all of us in this panel, all of us, we believe that technology is going to help a lot. So from that perspective, I would like to say three things. First, I would like to say need-based action research. That is so very important. Here, the role of government, because government is also having so many different phases. So even for the researchers, it's so very difficult probably to understand the need very clearly. So clarity from the government side, maybe through their different policies related to research and innovation, if that comes in a very clear-cut fashion, maybe probably the mandates are very clear, maybe targets are very clear, then probably it will help the researchers a lot. Then for the researchers, there are many stakeholders. One for particular stakeholder we cannot forget, that is the community, the need. Need probably starts more from community, and maybe the need from the government side can come as a next. So once we understand the need, where the need is, then probably clarity in the outcome is really going to be much more beneficial, much more implementable. So this action-oriented research is going to be the thing probably in coming some years, especially for disaster risk reduction field. The second point I would like to say that innovation, though very lightly probably we are using the term today, but if really there are some potential we can find in the solutions which can go for innovation that tag or even not a good improvisation in the technology, all of them can get very good incentives afterwards. That is very important. Once they bring out their results, after that it has to be nurtured further. So this scaling up, then continuous facilitation, upscaling, yeah, maybe IITs are or some other premier institutes are having these facilities nowadays, but I believe that has to be scaled up. And for that also government has to really be proactive so that our broader, our demographic fashion is, we cannot forget our demography, frankly speaking, if we are really going for this 2047 as our resilience India mission. And the last thing I would like to comment on this early warning system, which is being spoken about, because I think in next decade we are again going to invest a lot on this early warning system. Definitely, we would like to see that it's not only from the scientist side that the accuracy and that uncertainty is going down. Those improvement we would like to see. But at the same time, we would also like to see the proactiveness from the administration to understand and disseminate that information so that community understands. That is very important. And community action. Community cannot be just an inert stakeholder. They have to also respond. I will bring here one very small example. I come from built environment side. We have the building bylaws. I am not really referring to one particular event like, okay, flood is coming and there is an early warning. Let's say we know that from the hazard zone nation map, this particular area belongs to a very high seismic risk area. Then the community also has a very strong responsibility to follow the building bylaws which have been given, provided by the maybe the scientist side, but then it has come into the process through the administration side. So not only the role of scientists are very important here, it's also the administration as well as community. So I think for resilient India, everybody has their role to play. With that, I would like to stop. Thank you, Sumit.
I think for 2047, in my opinion, the motto should be that knowledge is power. And to empower everyone, we need to take the technical, complicated science and social science aspects and convert them into popular science and easy to understand formats. So I think science communicators have to really gear up, pull their socks and be included in this agenda, and they should be part of it, and probably we should use involvement of media and social media, because today's even in small villages the youngsters are so much clued into using social media, and it has proven to be very powerful in disseminating information to a large scale. So maybe we need to tap into that resource and convert the science and knowledge which is happening in our labs into popular science formats so that it reaches in regional languages and it reaches to common people in easy to understand formats.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I echo the same feeling what all our panelists said, and especially Bansal ma'am and Srivastav sir. So I feel two things are very important. One is incentivization as well as creating opportunities. So for that, government is already doing lots of effort. Some positive efforts are like startup, as Srivastav sir said. The startups are backbone of transferring all this technology to ground. Second is there are so many hackathons which are being now floated. So these hackathons are platform through which all our students, so through their teachers, like we are always involved in form of mentors. So these technologies are transferred or these are showcased so that anyone can buy those technology or anyone can pick those technology, and from there startups can start, means that they can develop something. And if these startups are towards DRR, So definitely we are going to have a very good solution in future. Second thing that I request to our government part is like there should be more funding. Funding is most important. As much you pump money, that much you will get result. So like funding is most important. It should be more easy to get. You can always make us more accountable. We are always there to be more accountable. We'll be happy to be more accountable. So but at the same time we want more funding. And similarly request to Akansha is like reduce the publication cost. So yes.
One subscription.
Yes. So yeah. So publication costs should go down. So that is also equally important. And third thing, I have echoed this feeling earlier also, that we should have for example, landslide or flood. So there should be one platform where all the experts who are working on flood or landslide should be brought together. So whether they are into early warning, whether they are into mapping, modeling, anything, technocrats, researcher, everyone. So it means it should be like a huge mega mall or mela where we can pick up what we require. So then we know that what exactly is existing in India and what exactly we need to develop. Otherwise, it's like there is always recycling of things which is happening, or which we can say is redundancy. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Goswami. And I think finally, I would like to just say before I give it to Professor Sri Krishnan, I would like to thank all the panelists to share their thoughts very openly, very candidly, like you really put it forward, what you think. But I'm very sure this, the discussion coming out from this, it was going to be very helpful for both the sides and also in general, the community. Thank you very much. I will give it to Professor Krishnan to sort of conclude the session.
Thank you very much, Professor Sen. And it is a very insightful discussion. I've taken some notes, which of mainly coming keywords to set the vision for 2047. Starting from Dr. Bansal, she emphasized on two things. First, she defined the problem. Then she gave the solutions and noted down the points in which government is being active. One is the NDMA plans and funding for seeds funding for startups, and especially the national education policy, and which is also later in the second question mentioned by Dr. Srivastava on means educating students at the school level with disaster risk reduction. So that is where we need to go. And also other points have been mentioned. And by Dr. Srivastava, thank you for detailing on the ISRO's initiatives for DMSP, Respond, and other programs, also the STC cells. And many of the researchers are aware of that, and we are also involved in these things. And also, thank you for emphasizing on the rapid analysis of disaster. That is where the student strength need to be used. Totally agree with that. And coming to the academician side, starting from Professor Garg, Professor Mukherjee, Professor Goswami, you all emphasized the fundamental role of an academician. So Professor Goswami detailed and even defined what is research, what is teaching, and what is training. And also Professor Garg emphasized on the ecosystem integrity and restoration, which is the fundamental goal which we need to set if we want to attain resilience and sustainability in 2047. So then Dr. Akansha emphasized the role of Springer Nature, not just Springer Nature. She has been a representative of many different publication forums that I could see from her talk. So one important thing she emphasized, apart from the normal publication, is the conduction of forums in academia. This is even new to me, that meetings and discussions are conducted even at the grassroots level, and inclusivity and diversity is followed, and also open research and ST reach that we do. So thank you for that. And with the second question also, many different keywords came, starting from Professor Garg, that first responders and nature-based solution. Then Professor Mukherjee again emphasized on the need-based solutions and action-oriented research and reaching them to the stakeholder level. And Dr. Srivastava again emphasized on the disaster education at the school level. So that is one of the vision that we need to set. And many of the agencies in India should start working in this line, that I hope. And thank you again, Dr. Professor Goswami and also Dr. Akansha Tyagi, to re-emphasizing the points which we discussed today. With this, I thank you all for the wonderful discussion. So have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.